We're going to build the best football team in the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gator.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory's got a touchdown! Oh, man! Dory's got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gator.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium Miguel. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Del Torre.
Same corner, same time. How y'all boys feeling, man? It's Memorial Day weekend.
Dude, it was a hell of a weekend. I had to spend the entire day today relaxing. We got a little music festival vibes on Friday and Saturday. Got a little boating done on Sunday. It was time for little old me to take a rest day, a recovery day, if you will.
Rehab.
Yeah,
Rehab day.
A rehab day. Get the body back in working order before work tomorrow, Nick.
You get iced up?
Iced up, yeah. Had to go into the cooling tub. I had to get the what are those things they put on your legs? Those massager
Compressions?
Yeah, the compression. Yeah, had to do that. Had to get the shoulders worked out, and we're ready to go back at it.
Nice.
I saw one of the Heat reporters was like, PJ Tucker's in an air cast at the game. I'm like, bro, that's a compression sleeve. Like he's doing some recovery on his legs. He's not in an air cast.
Hey, them things are the business, man. Them things feel great.
That was a tough loss for our Heat yesterday, Nick. I know Corey's probably
tough loss
excited,
for
but
America's team.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you guys not happy, man. Not a big Boston guy either. So, like, it's like a lose-lose situation for me. I actually had Heat in this series, man. They let me down. Rarely I cheer for these people, and they let me down.
It was probably your fault then.
I didn't actually cheer. I just said I had them in the series. And that's enough negative energy. Reverse psychology. I flipped it on them. Native Nick, man, I seen the On 3 people got some heat for you too, man. About this visit this weekend. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, I was getting it after my take last week. After my take last week, and then when he didn't show up, missed that flight, I was feeling justified.
Right.
And maybe not anymore. We'll get into that later though.
For sure.
I had a long week. Had 7 baseball games last week.
That's a lot of baseball games.
It's a lot of baseball
and
games.
None of them were on time, were they?
All of them Gator games?
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday were all not on time. Like 10 o'clock start time that started at 3:30 p.m. Like that kind of off time.
Yeah.
But Florida made a nice little run. Made a nice run in Hoover, ended up falling in the SEC final, but did enough to host the regional. So I'm not worrying about leaving Gainesville to go cover games this week. Florida's staying home, and we'll get into that full schedule. But, yeah, it was a long week. Didn't drive to Hoover. I think that was in my best interest, especially after the way the rain treated them.
Have you been to Hoover before?
I've been to Hoover 6 times.
That's a lot of times. What is there to do in Hoover, Alabama? Besides
Who keeps account? How many times have you been
Leave.
to Hoover?
If you go to Hoover and you experience Hoover,
No doubt.
you too will keep track of how many times you've been there and why it's too many.
Why are we still doing
there's-
stuff there?
I think so. They've done the tournament there 25 years, and I think it's really easy for the SEC because they have their office in Birmingham, and Hoover's just a suburb of Birmingham. But the Hoover Met, they've poured a bunch of money into it.
Is it like a nice stadium? Like
No,
it's obviously not Omaha. No,
It's the city vibes. Nice city.
I mean, Birmingham, I think, is the capital of Alabama. And there's really nothing to write home about. Saws, great barbecue. Jim and Nick's, good barbecue.
I feel like you can find good barbecue at any city in the South.
Yeah, no, that's true. Listen, you asked what was good about Hoover, and I gave you the two things. I'm not saying that's the only place you can get good barbecue, but that's all I have. That's all the good I have to say about Hoover. There's a couple good barbecue spots. The stadium isn't great. It's really big. It's old. They've put a bunch of money into it, but it's still old. And it's just like I hate the Trop. I think it's an ugly stadium. But if you're going to try to play 4 baseball games in the South in the first week of summer, play 4 games a day for 3 straight days, probably shouldn't do it in a place that gets 30 inches of rain a week.
That's a lot of rain, Nick.
I dealt with that with track season, man. It's rough. A lot of cancellations, man.
Yeah, can't play baseball in the rain. Can't run track in the rain.
Time of the year is rough.
So I'm thinking, hey, also the SEC, inside the SEC footprint, you've got like Houston, Dallas, New Orleans, Atlanta,
nice city.
Tampa. Let's play the tournament in Hoover, Alabama. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering too. Like nothing that the SEC does is like related to Birmingham, which is of course not the capital of Alabama, but nothing that they do is in Birmingham.
Their offices are in Birmingham.
Well, no, I know that, but no other sporting event is there. I don't necessarily understand why. Of all of the cities in the Southeast,
I think that you do it in Tampa. You've got so many games. You've got in Tampa, sure, you have the Trop, but you also have the Yankees spring training facility, which gives you like 4 other fields. So
you not only you have the Phillies as well that do spring training here. You've got the Blue Jays in Dunedin. You've got a number of teams. You've got things down in Sarasota. You could figure it out for sure. Tampa would be a great place to host it, but I would imagine even places like Nashville, Charlotte. Raleigh. I mean, there's a lot of big areas.
Nashville's got a beautiful new stadium. They have a AAA team now, the Nashville Sound.
They do. Yeah, it's right there in downtown or Germantown, I guess. But it just seems to me like that. And this isn't diminishing, Birmingham or
what are they mascot speakers?
No. I'm diminishing Birmingham. You don't have to take that stance. That's me. I will take that heat. I will stand in the paint.
I mean, I guess I just think in this day and age, like, why are we still running into small towns just for legacy's sake? Right when there's other options.
Tradition runs this conference, man.
I mean, sort of, but I mean the SEC championships in Atlanta for football. Basketball moves all around. They were in Tampa this year for the SEC
I'm with
tournament.
you, man.
I don't think any other sport like sticks into one small town. I mean, you're right. But I don't
do the SEC. They do well. Not this year. This year, the
mascot is a bird named Booster for. All right.
Is it the Nashville Sound? I just sent Silk to Nashville Sound. They have a great stadium. They have so like their jumbotron Silk is like a guitar.
Oh, nice.
We got a little TV. What's the guitar? Geodis Park.
I gotta get to Nashville, man. Nashville, all right, bro.
Yeah, Florida's playing there this year against the Commodores.
Bro, we going on the rooftop, man.
We're going on many a rooftop.
Tennessee might be pulling up. Blake, y'all boys lay out the red carpet for me, man.
There's a lot of Stadium and Gale listeners in Nashville. I think it's like our 15th or 16th most popular little demographic for city listeners. So shout out to the 615. Silk, how was your weekend, brother?
Oh man, relaxing a little bit. My son drugged me out to the park 2 days, bro. It's 1,000,000 degrees outside. Outside of that, man, just been locked in. Got the Janoris interview coming up this Wednesday at the studio, so just been locked in, working on that, getting all the details for that together. If you're interested, go check out the Roll-Ups Eventbrite or check any of my social media profiles. The link should be in the bio. or hit my DMs, or if you're a Patreon of the Roll Up, you can come for free. But pull up Wednesday. We hanging out with a Gator Legends. Norris Jenkins is pulling up to talk, to hang out.
That's
awesome. May get a retirement. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Breaking news?
I don't know. I said we'll see.
Mm.
He's been vacationing a lot. I don't know, man. He hasn't been really looking at. This is me. This is just my take, right? I've been around him a little bit. The vibes is like very vacationing, and I keep looking. Like he's not looking for anywhere to land right now. He's not visiting teams.
Right. He's 33. Got drafted in 2012. Yeah, I mean it's been a nice little career for the Jackrabbit. Yeah. Was he? I thought he was with the Saints.
Tennessee.
He was at the Titans last year.
Saints.
Yeah.
Saints.
No, he was with the Saints, and then he was at the Titans last year.
Right.
Huh. Nate, you got to ask Jank about Nashville.
I said, when you report, I do got to ask him that. I said, when you reporting back, man, what is it looking like? When you going to sign somewhere? He said, I'm just chilling right now. I've got a couple more. If I go to Dubai, Tulum, then,
I'm trying to get to Tulum later this year.
You're like, hey, when's camp? You're like, I don't know, dog. I'm going to Dubai. You're like, okay.
Right. Sounds amazing.
I need to get to Dubai. I'm going to try to get to Tulum later this year.
Those are
elite places to visit.
I checked out a movie. I do want to tell y'all to check out this movie. It's called The Outfit.
Okay.
It's like a seamstress guy, tailor. He's not a tailor, but something like that. But he working with the mob, Irish mob type vibes. Yeah. Now you see what I was going with. About to say, you just gotta be careful around Hong Kong Andy, bro.
I got to see him on. Andy's got to smell my cologne. I think on Thursday. It's either Wednesday or Thursday. I got to check the old calendar. But there's a Nick. You watching anything on TV? I just finished The Lincoln Lawyer, the TV show that just came out, based on the Michael Conley novels. Fantastic show. I think it's on Netflix. So definitely encourage Netflix or Hulu. Definitely encourage you guys to check that out. Nick, you got anything on TV before we get on to the show?
Bro,
besides baseball?
I had 7 baseball games in 6 days, bro.
Man.
Yeah, there was nothing else on TV.
Well, the Tampa Bay Lightning swept the Florida Panthers 4-0 last Monday to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals again.
Nick, so Lightning, man. Big brooms.
Yeah. We'll be at a game next year, back at it again. Shout out to Ben with the Tampa Bay Lightning, who's going to hook that up again. But let's get on to the show, boys.
For the end of hockey season.
You've got
it's a national holiday.
At least 8 more days or 8 more games, and at most 11 more games. So before we have Carl Johnson coming on the show, but before we get to Carl Johnson and the rest of the show, we want to give a shout out to our friend over at Alan Horn Insurance. Alan's with State Farm in Jasper, Georgia, specializing in auto, home, renters, life, business insurance, and retirement planning in Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Check them out, AlanHornInsurance.com. That's Alan, ALAN, Horn, HORNE, insurance.com, or give them a call at 706-692-2888. Thanks so much, Alan, for sponsoring the show. Sorry, guys. We had a little brain blip there. Nick, let's get on to the show. Let's talk a little bit about baseball before Carl Johnson joins us today. Gators go over to Hoover, Alabama, end up winning, I believe, 4 games in Hoover. Was it 3 games or 4? I know they lost their first game, 1-2, and then won a third. So they won 3.
So they won their first game.
My apologies.
So there's 14 teams in the SEC. Only 12 make it to Hoover. And then the top 4 teams get a bye. So the first 4 teams, the first 4 games are all single elimination. So Florida had to play South Carolina Tuesday night. They beat the Gamecocks 2-1 in 10 innings. A walk-off, which got them to Thursday. They were supposed to play Wednesday, but that was rained out. So Thursday, lose to Texas A&M, get 10 runs. So lose 10-0 in 7. And you're thinking, okay, well, this might be a quick week. And then they go and they beat Arkansas, beat Alabama, played Texas A&M again Saturday. Saturday was a doubleheader. Beat Texas A&M 9-0 on Saturday. So they won 4 games
Yep.
And
That's what I thought.
won
What
4 games
happened
and
in
lost
that?
2.
What happened in that first Texas A&M game? Could they just not get the bats around? Was pitching just obviously you get beat 10-0. Obviously nothing's going right, but what went so wrong in that game for them to turn it around to get 3 big victories in a row?
Yeah, it's interesting. So the guy that Texas A&M threw had started the year in the weekend rotation, and then kind of just lost it. Had thrown, I think, twice or 2 innings in the last 6 weekends. So Texas A&M was really just trying to get him going, and a lot of what the SEC tournament is just trying to set your pitching up for this week for regionals, and that's why. Like Brandon Sproat, Florida's ace, threw on Tuesday, which is a short rest for him, and he throws 110 pitches. And then people are like, hey, is Brandon Sproat throwing Sunday? And I'm like, absolutely not. They're like, are you crazy? They're trying to win a tournament championship. I'm like, no, they're not. It doesn't matter if they win the tournament championship. They're going to host a regional, and you're not going to use your ace on Sunday 4 days after he threw 110 pitches. So, like, by the time you get
real quick, why does anybody try to chase and win it then if they already got a regional? Does anybody
so like
make that
Alabama?
a priority?
Yeah. So like Alabama was on the NCAA tournament bubble, so like it was important for Alabama to win a couple games. But like Tennessee could have lost 2 games and they were still going to be the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. So like all they're trying to do is get their pitchers, their weekend guys, some work because you don't want them to go 2 weeks without throwing in a live game. But that's the problem with the SEC tournament is that it's such a long tournament and the teams that are typically competing for the championship already have locked up their tournament, like either hosting a regional or they're in the tournament. It's like, it doesn't matter. So like a lot of fans just don't understand, like, well, why wouldn't you want to win the championship on Sunday? I'm like, you want to win it, but not at the detriment of the actual NCAA tournament that matters.
Nick, I want to get your thoughts. Kind of funky. Have they always done kind of the win 1 game, then double elimination, then you get to the semifinals and a single elimination again? And it seems like a funky format when you could kind of do not pool play necessarily, but just kind of play everybody on a 2-loss situation to ultimately
so
win.
It's, I guess you don't want it to just be luck, because like, hey, Florida ran into a kid that threw really, really well against Texas A&M, and then they come back and they beat Texas A&M 9-0, 2 days later. So you don't want a team, I guess, to play really well all year long and then just run into, one hot pitcher and now your SEC tournament's done. But the problem, the single, double, single elimination is because by the time you get to the last 4 games, like Florida had already played 4 games just to get to that Final Four, to get to the semifinal. And at that point, you're going to have coaches that are like, I don't want to waste my pitching. So I think they go back to single elimination to save the arms. By the time you get to that weekend, you've already had teams playing 4 games. Florida got really lucky. They only had to use 2 pitchers in their first 3 games, each of their first 3 games. So they only had to use 6, but you could easily get a situation where I think Alabama threw 6-7 guys in 1 game. And now you're getting into an area where you're like, well, we're not going to keep running guys out there. We'd rather just forfeit a game than, risk injuring a pitcher. So I think that's why they go back to the single elimination format, but it is funky. And it catches people off guard every year. There were some mad Texas A&M fans in my mentions. This makes no sense. Why is Florida going to the championship game? We beat them 10-0, and it's like,
Texas A&M hadn't lost before that, right?
They had not.
That's why I thought it was a little funky overall. I know that it's been that way, and I think that your reasoning makes sense. But I do think that there's some ways to be able to kind of take a look at that. And
you could do like a pool play. You could do round robin. Like there's other ways to have a fair tournament. That don't have such a weird format. It's just another reason why I don't enjoy going to Hoover.
Well, I mean, you play so many SEC games during the regular season to then kind of leave it up to this very funky format. I mean, I'm glad Florida made it to the finals of the SEC tournament, but I do think it's odd that Texas A&M only lost once. And I know we're talking about a game of chance, and we're talking about Florida goes and loses 10-0 and then goes and beats them 9-0. Obviously, you have two fluke games on both ends there. It's just kind of a, in my opinion, just an odd format when, there's other options available, especially when you do play that many SEC games to see.
And to me too, so like that is, it's kind of like basketball. Like the SEC tournament basketball winner gets an automatic qualification into the NCAA tournament. But to me, like Tennessee had already won the SEC. Even if Florida wins last week, wins on Sunday, I wouldn't call Florida the SEC champion. They're the SEC tournament champions. But Tennessee just went 25-5, and I think that body of work is more impressive than Florida going 5-1 in Hoover.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's some better ways to do that. I would imagine Greg Sankey will be waiting for your suggestions. Nick, if you need any ideas, you just let me know and I'll put something together for you.
Greg, what it do, baby? I know you're listening. Let's move this thing to Nashville
or Tampa.
If we move to Nashville, I'll stop lying about showing up.
Nick, the Gators do get the number 13 overall national seed. We'll get the chance to host a regional with Oklahoma, Liberty, and Central Michigan in that pairing or that quad. Want to talk a little bit about that. Are you surprised that Florida's 13? I know you thought, Florida might be a 14 or 15 after, they're showing in Hoover. Obviously, a few weeks ago, we thought Florida might be a 2 or 3 seed in somebody else's regional. So are you surprised at the 13 ranking and, ultimately break down the regional a little bit for us?
You can't say enough about the way Florida finished this season. On April 24th, they were swept by Tennessee and fell to 23-17 on the year. So 6 games over 500, and we're 6-12 in the SEC. I'm looking at them there. That was the worst start in Kevin O'Sullivan's 15 years. And Florida was on the outside looking in at the NCAA tournament, like not going to make the NCAA tournament. They won 19 of their last 21 games, including the run in Hoover. And I thought going into the SEC tournament, Florida was probably going to be a 2 seed. They were getting matched at the match with Miami in the Coral Gables regional. I thought Florida has to get to the weekend. They have to get to the semifinal to be able to host. But then I'm starting to think, all right, well, if you're hosting and you're the 16 seed, do you want to be matched up? So the way that they do the pairings for super regionals, the first 8 seeds, top 8 seeds are national seeds. So they will host a regional and a super regional, assuming they win their regional. And then the 1 seed is matched up with the 16 seed. And I'm thinking, I think Florida would rather be a 2 seed and go to Coral Gables than be the 16 seed, win their regional, and then have to go to Knoxville to play Tennessee, who they've already lost to 4 times. So I was starting to think, man, maybe Florida should lose a couple games in Hoover and not be the 16 seed. But I think with how strongly they played to end the year, I think their RPI was 11 and their strength of schedule was 8 to finish the year. So that kind of resume with how hot Florida was at the end of the year, I think 13 was a little surprising for me. I thought maybe they'd get to 14. I think Baseball America had them projected as a 14. But 13 works. And it's interesting because the ladies were just, I think, a 13 seed paired up with Virginia Tech. The ladies, the softball team wins their regional, and then they go up to Blacksburg. And baseball could be following the same path this coming week. But it is a tough region for Florida. The Gators will host Oklahoma, who just beat Texas to win the Big 12 tournament. 3 seed Liberty. Shout out to TJ. Liberty came in and beat Florida 2 out of 3 to start the season. And then Central Michigan is the 4 seed. They're the only 4 seed in the NCAA tournament that has 40 wins. They finished the season 42-17. Shout out to the Fighting Jim McElwain Chippewas. So Oklahoma, obviously a really good team, 37-20, just won their tournament championship. Liberty has a great pitching staff that Florida saw earlier this year. That's a tough 3 seed, and then the only 4 seed in the entire country that has 40 wins. So not an easy region for Florida, but you get to stay home, you get to sleep in your own bed, get to have your own clubhouse. So you can't say enough about that. And really, regardless of what happens, like this team I had left them for dead in April.
You negative Nick though. So.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they were 6-12. 6-12. Had just been swept. They were 6-12.
In the SEC or overall?
In the SEC. They were 6-12
okay.
in the SEC.
Yeah.
Had just been swept by Tennessee, and their ace underwent Tommy John surgery that week. So like there was nothing going well.
Yeah, not a lot of hope.
Baseball. No. So credit to
Thankfully, they listen to Kevin O'Sullivan and not Nick Delatorre. David Kopp, Coral Springs High School legend.
What's Sully's seat look like? It's cool. It's great. I don't know the temperature like on the baseball end, man. I know Gator fans are rabid people, so I'm trying to check in.
Well, credit to the message board and to Twitter. They fired Kevin O'Sullivan in April. So shout out to the new coach. I'm not sure who.
I don't like it, but I just know how we get down.
The new coach, whoever Twitter hired, really turned this team around. Sorry, Kevin O'Sullivan. But yeah, his seat is very fine. Won a national championship.
I mean, I would imagine it's going to be fine for as long as he wants, right? Barring some sort of massive implosion, there's not much better Florida could do unless there's kind of a mutual parting of, I mean, like Kevin O'Sullivan wanted to go a different path, right?
I just take the temperature of the fans, man, not real life. It wasn't real life.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying, I think that he will be here as long as he wants to be here, right?
Barring some like off the field scandal, or him wanting to leave and him taking another job, like Sully will be in Gainesville for a while.
And I might see.
I don't know if I can handle any more introductory press conferences.
You've seen a lot, and you're going to see.
It's been several recently.
What you tired of the most, the line or actually going to him?
He's probably tired of the lying and the research that he has.
Probably get good clicks though after like new hires, man. That's got to be like business has to boom with new hire clicks.
Yeah, business
info,
is good when the team is good. Business is good when the team is bad because people want to just vent.
Right.
Business gets bad.
That's when I cancel my subscriptions when the team's bad.
Business gets bad when fans become apathetic. That's when you see writers start calling for jobs. Is when you see the fan base become apathetic because you're like, all right, well, now they don't care.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how I got with recruiting with Mullen, man. I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah, hate clicks are still clicks.
Well, the Gators will host
Matt Baker,
Oklahoma, Liberty, and Central Michigan. Nick, that starts on Thursday.
That starts Friday. I've got a whole schedule. Friday, June 3rd, 1 p.m. Liberty versus Oklahoma. And game 2 is 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Central Michigan versus Florida. Both games are on ESPN Plus streaming. Interesting. Florida has the opportunity. When you host, you have the opportunity to pick whether you want the early game or the late game. Last year, Florida picked the early game.
Do whatever you did last year and do the exact opposite.
Well, the thought process last year was, well, it's going to rain, and we want to make sure we get our game in because it's going to rain late. And it did rain late. But you have a brand new, beautiful stadium, and you're playing at 1 p.m. on a Friday, and there's 800 people in the stands. And you're like, well, This sucks. And people were pissed that they chose, the first year in the new stadium, that they chose to play the game at 1 o'clock on a Friday. They lose, and then they had to play early on Saturday. They lose that, and then the regional's over. So they will play 6:30 p.m. Eastern time versus Central Michigan. I hope Jim McElwain comes down for it, but tickets will be on sale this week. And
I don't think Jim McElwain will be there for that.
He was not a baseball guy when he was.
Tickets do go on sale.
Fishing trip.
Yeah, he's going to be in Montana. Tickets started going on sale on May 29th if you had a baseball season ticket account. General public will go on sale Wednesday, single game tickets on Thursday, and then the first 200 students in attendance at each game will receive free admission as well. So best of luck to the men's baseball team. Let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Use promo code Stadium and Gale, all one word. Get 15% off of your order. The best vintage tees on the market, Florida Gators, as well as a host of about 45 or 50 other schools that are out there. They just dropped a line for Arizona State. So whether you or a significant person in your life or a friend or family member went to one of those 50 schools, check out Home Field Apparel. The promo code works on all apparel. Promo code Stadium and Gale, all one word. Do want to give a shout out to the women's softball team. The women's softball team headed up to Blacksburg, Virginia, to play Virginia Tech in the Super Regional. End up losing the first game, win the second game, end up in a rain delay in the third game, or was it the second game that ended in a rain delay, or was delayed by rain delay? Go on, win 6-0 in game two. Go on and win. I'm sorry, lose 6-0 in the first game, win 7-2 the second game, and then beat them 12-0 in game three. And they will be headed to Oklahoma City for the Women's College World Series. Nick, were you able to follow much of the women's softball tournament against Virginia Tech?
I followed a little bit, and they it was interesting. So Friday night they were down 6-0, I think in the fifth inning.
Yep.
And got rained out or postponed. So they had to come back the next day and play two. That's got to be like demoralizing though, to be down 6-0. Then you have to like sit through a rain delay, and then you're like, all right, well, you have to come back tomorrow to finish getting your butt kicked.
Yeah.
And then try to like regroup and play 2 hours later.
Yeah, you got to get that old uniform washed, and then you got to put it back on, and then you got to take it off and change again for game two. It's got to be very demoralizing.
It's not a good feeling. It's like last year, Florida was down like 19-1 to South Alabama in the eighth inning, and then we had a 3-hour rain delay. And it's just like, game's over. Like, we don't need to come back and get these last 6 outs. They're not scoring 18 runs in 6 innings.
Well, not with that attitude. I don't believe they did, though.
They did not. They did not. But on a positive note, you're probably, as you know, like the seniors or the juniors on that team are probably just enjoying like those last 3 hours with each other. It's like that's the last time that team is ever going to be together, play a game together. And sure, the game's not going well. The season's about to end, but you got 3 hours to kick it in the clubhouse with no pressure. Like, hey, look, we already lost. Let's just enjoy the time we have together. We can't leave. We're kind of stuck here. So on a bright note, you get to spend time with your brothers, with your teammates, and then you had to go back out and finish that game. But credit to Tim Walton. Crazy stat that I looked up. That was Florida's 14th time they'd been to a super regional, and just the second time that they weren't hosts.
Oh wow!
So going out on the road. I don't know what the environment is like in Blacksburg. I hope to find out in 2 weeks for a baseball super regional. But that is a stadium I'd want to go to for a football game. That Enter Sandman, is that they play Enter Sandman, right?
Yeah, I know they do for football. I'm not sure if they still do it for baseball and softball and everything else, but they definitely do it for football.
Yeah, that looks like an electric like entrance. You got a ton of mountain people up in the Appalachians there.
Yeah, mountain people.
Getting really excited for some metal and some football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch the tournament. I got to watch a couple of innings. But overall did not watch the entrance. Don't know if they come in to Enter Sandman. I think it's very different, when the football team is running out of a tunnel compared to running out of the dugout onto a softball field. But, hopefully for the mountain people, Nick, they get to enjoy that.
Are they not? Is that not in the Appalachian foothills?
Well, I don't think it would be in the foothills. No, I think the Appalachian Mountains are a little bit more west, but it might be
It's definitely
in
not
the
my bag.
mountains. I would need to pull up a quick map here, Nick, of Blacksburg, Virginia. Haven't been. One of the places that I think would be cool to check out a college football game, but no, I think it's like in the mountains. I don't know if it's in the foothills of the mountains. Right up there near West Virginia.
So this is I get a bad rap. I say mountain people. Dan looks at me and talking to me like I'm crazy, and then he pulls up a map and goes, "Oh yeah, it's in the mountains."
No,
I
it's
know.
still the foothills. Very different.
Foothills and mountains. I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm vibing, bro. Foothills. Elaborate on foothills and mountains. What's the difference here?
The foothills would be before, like leading into the mountains. Regardless, we could talk semantics of geography and,
sure.
and topology later. But the Gators do advance. They were the number 14 seed. Virginia Tech was the number 3 overall seed. Like I said, 12-0. They do run rule the Hokies in 5 innings. It's the first time Virginia Tech has been run ruled since 2021. The Gators head to Oklahoma City. On fire. They won their regional, obviously go up to Virginia Tech, beat a strong Virginia Tech team that had their card or had their number in the first game, go off and are advancing to the Women's College World Series for the 11th time. So that would make them 11-3 in super regionals, which is incredible. They're 23-11 all time during the NCAA super regional round. And 99-48 all time in the tournament.
And they are in, so the 8 teams are Texas, UCLA, Northwestern, Oklahoma, Oregon State, Florida, Arizona, and Oklahoma State. Florida is the only SEC team to make
probably the first time in a long time.
Yeah, the SEC. I mean, Arkansas had a great year. Alabama is a great team, one of the best teams in the country. And Florida is in bracket 2 with Oregon State, Arizona, and Oklahoma State. I'm trying to pull up to see
a couple other fun facts, Nick, while you're pulling that up. Yep. Gators have outscored their opponents 47-10 in the 2022 NCAA tournament. 12 runs that they scored are the most ever in program history in a super regional game. And the 12-run win was the largest in game 3 of the super regional for them. 10 or more hits in 5 out of the 6 NCAA tournaments played this year, or tournament games played this year. And the 13 hits that they had in game 3 were the most hits by the Gators in an NCAA super regional game. So truly an electric performance up there in Blacksburg. Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, Florida, they'll be the 3rd game of the day on June 2nd. They play at 7 p.m. That's on ESPN, open up against Oregon State. And then the winner of that will play the winner of Oklahoma State, Arizona on June 4th. The losers will go to the elimination bracket, and that game's on June 3rd at 9:30 p.m. ESPN 2.
We'll definitely be cheering for the Lady Gators. In other news, the Gators number 2 tennis player, Ben Shelton, who is the coach or the son of the Gators tennis head coach, won the NCAA singles tournament this year. He was the number 6 overall seed, number 2 or second ranked player in the country, the number 2 tennis player on UF's roster this year. He goes and loses the first set and then comes back and wins the next 2 sets, 6-3, 6-2, and takes home a national championship in singles men's tennis. So congratulations to Ben Shelton. He joins Mark Merklin, Jeff Morrison, and Sam Rafis, who won it last year, as the only players in Florida's 90-year history to win the NCAA singles crown. So congratulations to Ben Shelton and to his dad, UF men's tennis coach Brian Shelton. So very dominating performance there. In other Gator news, before we move on to football recruiting, things of that nature, the Gators are in the final round of the NCAA the NCAA final round tournament. They need to make to continue on. They are in a 15th way tie. They are in a tie for 15th place. Geez, Dan, get it together today. Really had a strong back nine to move, and they are currently playing now. So we will know a little bit more later today how the Gators are going to do and whether they advance to the finals of the NCAA championship. So best of luck to them. We have the SEC tournament for track and field. Sorry, not the NCAA tournament. This is just a terrible episode for me. The NCAA tournament. Gators are sending 25 folks to the outdoor tournament. The women are sending 16. The men are sending 9 across 6 different events. So certainly best of luck to all of them. And that will happen this weekend in Bloomington, Indiana.
You've been to Bloomington, Dan?
I have a few times. Not a bad place to be.
Really?
Yeah, no, it reminds me a lot of Gainesville, a lot of local just bars, and it's a town completely run by the University of Indiana or Indiana University. Sorry, really a cool little town. It's a great campus, cool Greek life scene. Just a fun place to be. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. But again, so is Gainesville, and that's what I think gives its little charm and everything else about it. Cool bar there called Kilroy's. That's definitely a fun place to be.
This might only interest me. Silk might be interested. What is the protocol, you being in Greek life? What's the protocol when you go to another university?
About just dropping in?
Dropping in on the brothers in Indiana.
I don't know. I don't do it. I would reach out, right? This is my thing. Obviously, fraternities and sororities are, you have a international group that you are a part of that you can connect to. My fraternity has over 100,000 people, right? So you can theoretically connect. It's obviously a different chapter at every campus, different people. I don't ascribe to the idea that you can just drop by, knock on the door, and get a tour of the house. I think it's a little bit different. Certainly some people feel that way. But yeah, whenever I go to towns, college towns, whatever, or when I used to, and is, a bit younger, I tried to, shy away from letting people know what fraternity I was in and things of that nature till I kind of knew what their, reputation was, or certainly making sure that I wasn't doing anything stupid around campus. I would be connected back, right? So I don't know if there's a true protocol or not. Obviously, the idea is that you could theoretically knock on the door and go visit, go ask for help, whatever you might need. But I don't know, Nick. I wasn't totally prepared for that question.
Your neurons haven't been firing.
They haven't. No, today's been rough. I can't read. I don't know what's going on. Let's see what else. Let's get into a quick ad read for Game Time Sidekicks. Go visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code STADIUM at checkout for 10% off of your order. Best vacuum sealed cups on the market right now. Whether it's University of Florida or about 450 other either licensed colleges, NFL, PA, golf, a bunch of other sports that you can go check out. Best drinkware on the market. Go visit them, GameTimeSidekicks.com. Promo code STADIUM. All right. So want to talk a little bit about football. We have a full roster now as the Gators have had most of their enrollees onto campus that have, I think everybody has come onto campus now. Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. The Gators added Ricky Pearsall, Jordan Herman, and then a number of other players. Arliss Boardingham, I know, came onto campus, and a number of the other February signees are now on campus. Zach Albaverdi had an article that he put out, Nick, that said the Gators currently are at 83 scholarship players on campus. It seems like that number may be off, but that's the number that
they haven't gotten. They haven't gotten all of the recruiting class in, so he's not saying that they're at 83 scholarships total. He's saying that they have 83 on campus right now.
Okay.
Like Max Brown just got to campus, so he's including the guys that have gotten to campus, but they're not all here yet. But they will be at 91 when everyone arrives. So still got to figure out how to get down to 85 before August.
When do you think we'll start to see that?
I don't know. I thought we'd see it after spring. I think we all kind of expected, maybe not a mass exodus, but I expected probably 10 guys to jump.
Could this be a thing? And I've been thinking about that too. Like, what's like probably Bama's like way of like juicing this whole thing up? Could people pay like a student's tuition like NIL wise?
Yeah.
Could they?
Is
that considered an inducement?
Yeah, I was like, is that in the spirit of NIL? It's like, hey,
rules get bent, and the rules are gonna get bent in this NIL thing. So I want to I'm just asking if that's the thing that could possibly happen if you're over a place like Bama. If they want to just load up on more 5 stars in the regular team, could they just take on some salaries?
I think they've already taken on salaries. Theoretically, allegedly.
You know who won't be taking on salaries anytime soon is the University of Miami.
Why would they be doing that, Dan?
They are not able to afford salaries anymore. What a terrible first week of MSP recovery. Say what?
I need my kicker to get his check.
No, your long snapper.
Your
long snapper, Silk. I think we had a guy put his foot in his mouth.
Politely declined the offer.
Yeah, Mr. Ruiz let us know that he had signed, I believe even used the exact word, signed Marco Ortiz to an NIL deal. Marco Ortiz did not sign any NIL deal with John Ruiz. So who's the liar now, John? Who is the liar now? But tough week for Miami. Their stock at MSP Recovery was down 83% today, amongst the worst performing stocks ever in their first week of trading on the NASDAQ. So just something that we called weeks ago, months ago on this show. But no, so I don't think that you can theoretically pay. I think that would go back to the inducement language, and I'm sure that was something that the NCAA would go after. We haven't seen it yet, I guess, until somebody tries it. I guess theoretically it can happen. But
you mean like paying a basketball transfer $800,000?
Well, no, what I mean is I don't think that you could pay in lieu of a player being on scholarship. I don't think you could go to Bryce Young, for instance, and say, hey, Bryce, we'll give you $500,000 or whatever that number might be. You go off of scholarship, and then now we have one additional spot open. Theoretically.
It would be interesting. I think you're on the right. I think you're correct there, Dan. That's not what NIL was supposed to be. But I think Silk bringing it up, I think, I think that is something that will happen. It's like, hey, we need to take your scholarship, but don't worry because you're going to do some podcasts. The Chevy dealership in town needs you to do a commercial, and we're going to get you the money that your scholarship was covering. I think you will get that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's I think we're working in some gray area. And Billy Napier has said that. We're playing a game without rules. We're playing a game that if there are rules, the rules are changing or not being enforced. And it's like, all right, well, if the speed limit is 70, but there's no cops around, that seems like a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a cop shows up and I'm doing 110, then someone will write a story about me.
I mean, I guess the bigger question is, what is the NCAA going to actually do, right, as punishment? And what are they going to consider an inducement? What are they going to consider? Are they going to make a player ineligible? Are they going to make a donor ineligible? Or are they going to make a university ineligible? We don't know what the sanctions could potentially be. We don't know what they're going to go after. We don't know if they're going to go after anything, to be honest with you. We are in a position right now where it is completely gray, and the longer we go by, the grayer that area expands. And I think the longer you let it expand, the harder it's going to be for the NCAA to actually sink their teeth into what's legal, what's not legal. Why did you choose to consider this a violation and not consider something else like paying a player $800,000 to transfer not a violation. Speaking of NIL, Suck, I want to get your thoughts. Billy Napier thinks NIL will be a slam dunk for the Gators. What do you think? We're about a year into it. Do you think it's been a slam dunk for the Gators?
It has not been a slam dunk so far.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep it above. I don't think it's been bad, but as you're looking around the country, people are getting outlandish, man, and I like it. I like how wild Jimbo in Texas A&M is doing, and Nick Saban is losing his wig and saying that they're buying classes. I mean, that's what this is about. This is more booster controlled stuff that, I mean, fans been asking for. Boosters to drop bags, to do that type of stuff in recruitment. That's an opportunity for all that to happen. Do I think we're on the cusp of it getting better with Hugh and the guys coming? Yeah. Probably takes a little bit more infrastructure. When you were already doing this stuff before it became NIL, then it's a little bit smoother. I think Texas A&M been getting busy before NIL became a thing. I think Alabama, Georgia, they were getting busy before this became a thing. I don't think Georgia got it figured out either. They don't have to. They've been doing NIL before NIL, so they ain't no rush to figure it out legally. But I think we got a new regime in, and then he's also trying to set up the infrastructure and get the booster back in the fold with this type of stuff. So I do think it's gonna be insane once they get it all up and going. But right now, it's a little iffy. I'm a little skeptical too. I'm gonna keep it I'm a little skeptical. I don't know, man. I don't know how invested like everybody is around here as far as NIL. Hugh and the guys bring some optimism, but I just don't know. I don't know. Just don't feel it.
I think that I maintain the same take that I had a year ago, is that I don't know how much money individuals are going to throw at players until there's an opportunity for them to figure out what their ROI is. I've learned a lot of things about rich people, is that they may spend frivolously on some things, but it's not forever. And a lot of them are going to want something back in return.
Right.
They may be a part of the first, throwing around a couple $1 million, but I don't think the days of, millionaires and billionaires just throwing around 10, 20, $30 million a year and getting nothing theoretically in return is going to be something that's sustainable. I do wish the NCAA allowed schools to be a little bit more involved in setting some of these things up and really trying to create some actual structure around this. I think that it's so disconnected from the university that I think that we lose a lot there. I think that we lose some, I don't want to say legitimacy necessarily, but I do think that there is there's a lot of trepidation between a lot of your big boosters that are wondering how they can continue to support the school and support the athletes, and whether they choose to do one or the other. And I think that they're still choosing to give back to a university before they give back to players. And I want to see that flipped. I just don't know if we're ever going to see that, as long as it's kind of kept at this very arm's length distance from one another.
No doubt.
I mean, I'd be curious to see where money's gone recently, right? Over the last year.
I mean, some of these guys are getting paid. I'm not saying that we're not doing nothing at all. I think we're doing a decent job. It's doing okay, but I don't think we're doing nothing for us to close the gap to Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, the talent they're bringing in with all this crazy NIL announcements. I just don't see that type of energy from us.
I mean, are you surprised? I mean, we've heard some deals, right? Like there's the Tennessee deal. We've seen some deals. I know Nick Saban was talking about Bryce Young getting over $1 million last year. I'm sure there's players that are getting paid a lot. Are you surprised at the dollar numbers that you've heard maybe not being as high as maybe we thought they would be a year ago? I mean, I don't hear a lot of $1 million players. I don't hear a lot of six-figure players. I think that there's a few that are piecemealing together some six-figure deals, but I don't think that there's a ton of players getting six-figure deals.
Yeah, I agree. I think the guys that the bigger deals like that are going to come with success. Right. Winning some games, going on a Heisman run, highlight type seasons, that those guys that are making those type of money, that type of money, gonna have to have some success. But you're gonna get guys that are number one recruits at the quarterback position, like Arch Manning. That's just from a branding standpoint. They got a ton of followers, and it makes sense to give those guys a long check because you're thinking like the relationship may take them to the NFL. So I do see like some of these young boys are gonna get it, especially at the quarterback position coming out of high school. But the majority of these guys are gonna have to make their buck playing ball, winning games, actually making things happen on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to watching out for is when does the first, kid maybe sign with Nike or Adidas or Gatorade or a big program or a big brand like that, right? Or when do you see the first, multi-million-dollar deal? I know that there's been a lot of rumors about Tennessee and their quarterback being $8 million. I don't know if that's totally true. There's a lot of, speculation that is not exactly, 100% correct, but I'd be definitely interested to see where
you cannot hire an 18-year-old $8 million. So
no.
That's how I know none of them really got it yet. Then not like that, not like they said. Because I know when an 18-year-old get $8 million, I would know it.
What kind of reckless behavior would you see on social media if you gave 18-year-old Silk?
Oh man, I'm buying tigers.
Do you know what you could do in Knoxville?
Bro, I swear I'm buying a tiger. Like as soon as I get the check, I'm 18, baby. What?
Young Mike Tyson. How far?
I'm taking it back to the hood, Nick. They want to fight. They want to fight. They pit bulls. I got a tiger, baby.
you're showing up. You're showing up to the dog fight with the tiger. You're like,
absolutely,
all right, let's go.
absolutely. I'm 18. Hey, I don't know. This is 18-year-old Corey, bro.
I only spent $200,000 on the tiger, so I got all kinds of money to now gamble on my tiger at the dog fight.
Right.
How much does a tiger cost?
Double up. Good investment.
How much does a tiger cost?
We just sent Dan off on the black market to find tiger prices.
Oh, bigcatrescue.org. Let's see. Is this Carol Baskin?
Yeah, I ain't going to
Yeah. No, let's see. All right. $900 for a bobcat. $7,500 for a tiger.
You could
buy a whole herd.
$7,500.
I might start breeding bobcats. I'll start selling them things in the hood, man.
An ocelot is what's going to set you back the most at $15,000.
What's that?
An ocelot.
It doesn't matter. Silk, you got $8 million. You got
$8 million. I start a zoo. Ask me what I do, Nick. None of these boys are touching that type of money, man. You know it when they touching. They are touching some money. You saw Anthony Richardson's jewelry in the pictures, and you can see when he's getting pulled over in.
A whole new mouth.
I don't know, man.
Is Paul Wall still around?
I think that's still a thing, but it was suspect.
Paul Wall still a thing.
Paul Wall lost weight, man. He got off the lean. He's a vegan. Shout out to the vegan boys, man. Shout out to Paul Wall.
So I saw a photo. Fat Joe was here in Tampa performing at a place called WTR Water on Saturday. He's lost a lot of weight too. He's like a relatively thin Joe now.
For Joe.
Yeah. He's still husky, but
yeah, he's still husky because I seen him in person recently. Well, like about 2 years ago, but it was doing the weight loss thing. I was like, dang, he lost weight and still a really big dude, man.
Oh man, let's see. Gators. Let's talk a little bit about recruiting. Last week on this show, Nick was adamant that the Gators were just a hat on the table for Jalen Rashada.
It's a shame.
Does the 5-star quarterback out of Pittsburgh, California, is originally supposed to arrive on Wednesday. His flight he misses his flight, purportedly, does make it to Gainesville, sticks around for a couple of days. And word on the street is that Florida's in the top 2 with Oregon.
That's the word.
That's the word on the street. So, Corey, thoughts? We got a commitment date and not too long.
Yeah, I think the double back goes down, right? So they got he came and visit allegedly on his own buck. You know, that's very impressive. Came in a little late. Nick got a little giddy. The on 3 people were kind of buying his smoke, and then he pulled up the next day, and I like everything I heard from the kid. Shout out to my man Corey. Corey hit me up and gave me a little bit of one-on-one action and let me know that because I guess he heard roll up. He said, "Nah, the dude dad played at ASU, so he's been around Billy. It's a relationship there, man. And as we know, recruiting comes down to relationships. And we haven't offered any new quarterbacks. I've been saying that. I thought that they've been standing strong with what their board is, whether we would agree or not. The traction they've been getting, we all been like, yo, where's the traction with the quarterback position? Here's the traction right here. We'll see where we at. If he double back before this decision date, which is his dad's birthday, I feel real good. We get 2 visits right before then, man. We got 3 statues out front. They're all quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, I
had to see AR Grill in the chain.
I think that you make a very astute observation, Corey. You know, Florida hasn't offered a lot of new quarterbacks. Doesn't seem like a lot of offers are going out right now. In general, you'll hear, you know, occasionally about a new offer going out. And I think this goes back to the point that we were talking about last week is, you know, where's Florida at from a recruiting perspective is they haven't gotten a bunch of commits just yet, but they're not losing any of those commits. And I think that if you follow the offers, you'll see that Florida feels like they're confident in a number of different positions, whether it's at, you know, wide receiver, whether it's at running back, whether it's at quarterback. You know, a lot of these positions where you're like, when are these guys going to commit? You're not seeing a lot of plan B or plan C guys starting to announce offers yet. So I think that Florida sits in a pretty good position right now.
Go ahead, Nick.
I think the big thing, well, one, like you said, allegedly flying cross country on your own dime, impressive. I think the big thing next is getting an official visit because that time is coming up pretty quickly. He's committing. I think it's his father's birthday that he's committing on. So that time is coming up. If Corey Bender is saying something, I believe it. So if he says Florida's
he just says
top
relationship
2,
there. He didn't say we were landing him. I won't lead the people astray. He didn't say we were landing him.
He said up there with Oregon, and that would be the second time in about a month Oregon loses a commitment.
You're catching these hands, man.
I think Florida will be in a great spot if he comes back for that official. If you can get him to come across the country twice in a short time period to check y'all out, I think you're in a good spot. And also, as much as I said, you know, like Florida is not a great destination for like a transfer portal quarterback. Like I think Jack Miller probably came to Florida thinking, Anthony Richardson, he's been hurt a bunch. Emory Jones, I can beat that guy out. And then like spent all spring watching Anthony play and was like, I've made a terrible mistake. Should have gone back home to ASU. I think Florida is a great destination for a freshman quarterback coming in. Like AR, max 2 years, could play himself into the draft this year. So if I'm a freshman, I'm thinking, I can come in, I can play, maybe sit 1 year. I can play right away.
Yeah,
I think no matter what, Florida's in a good spot for any quarterback. Anthony Richardson is, like you said, Nick, at most 2 years. I don't even know if he'll be here for 2 years if he has a good year this year. Obviously, Jaden Rashada would be a great get for the Gators, but I still maintain Florida needs another quarterback. I'm not 100% sold that what they have is the future at that position, but whether they're on campus right now. Well, I guess every quarterback's on campus right now. So I don't know, you know, where Florida goes from a quarterback perspective if they're not able to get a guy like, you know, Jaden Rashada, because Florida's going to be struggling at the quarterback position, whether it's next year or the year after. I'm very worried about Florida's future at quarterback.
Another thing that I like, Mark Willie had a clip of Rashada, and he spoke about NIL. He asked him how important was NIL in his recruitment. And he said, you know, I like the answer he said, especially coming from a quarterback position, that the most important check is the NFL check. So he wasn't, you know, he's a quarterback. He'll get NIL wherever he goes. The most important thing is the tutelage and his head coach being a quarterback-driven coach. And that's what we're in that seat a little bit. So I did like that, what I heard from him.
That is interesting, though, with Florida and Oregon being the top two. Obviously Billy Napier was an offensive coordinator himself, but probably not known as a quarterback guru, right? Dan Lanning at Georgia as their head coach, as a defensive coordinator. Obviously, they go and grab Kenny Dillingham from Florida State as their offensive coordinator, not necessarily known as a quarterback guru either. So, probably looking at the total package, I don't know a ton about Oregon's roster right now. I know that Mario Cristobal left it in shambles, but they are in a position, obviously with Florida, where they're going to need a quarterback of the future. So will be interesting to see, what does happen. He is going to commit in about 3 weeks on June 18th. Said a few days ago that he may announce today who's going to get those 2 or 3 official visits, but you're running up against a time stoppage here, and I don't know if he'll take visits after or whatnot, but certainly Florida's looking to get that quarterback commit in soon, and it doesn't seem like they have a lot of options, because I don't know where they go from here if they don't get him.
And I think just looking at him and watching his highlights, watching his film, I honestly think Malachi Nelson, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in this class ahead of Arch Manning. And then, I think Nico and Jaden are probably, for me, 2A, 2B.
I ain't mad at that tape.
And I don't know if Arch Manning is the number 1 player in the country if he has a different last name.
I don't think he is. I think that you've hyped him up so long, right? I've heard Arch Manning's name since he was in 7th grade. Right. It's kind of hard to believe that he's already going to college, or that he is going to go to college, because I thought that day would never end, or I'd have to hear his name every day. But it's finally here. Finally here. Let's see. The Gators are also going to be getting a visit. And let me just grab his name real quick. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit alumnihall.com. Go click on the UF section. Go use the promo code SG20 for 20% off of your order. And best selection of Gators apparel that's out there, from hats to shirts to golf driver tops to baby clothes to towels to chairs to whatever you might need. Go visit alumnihall.com and use promo code SG20 at checkout. The Gators are targeting a Tennessee transfer at the defensive tackle position, or defensive lineman. Daryl Middleton is going to be visiting the University of Florida on Thursday. 6'7", 305 pounds, would be a graduate transfer. No offer on the table, but will be visiting Florida. Also is going to be visiting West Virginia. 4-star recruit out of high school. He went to community college at East Mississippi in 2017 and 2018 before transferring to Tennessee. He played in all 13 games in 2019, then transferred to West Virginia, and then was off of the team. So now back in the transfer portal, but former Tennessee graduate and West Virginia player will be visiting UF. Also has interest from Jackson State, Tennessee State, Texas Tech. Certainly a guy that Florida is looking at, just almost simply because of the lack of depth at the position. So again, no offer, but a guy that will be visiting UF on Thursday. Nick, any thoughts on either one or on Daryl Middleton?
What do you got? So,
My bad. I'm trying to get Carl real quick. Get your take off real quick, Nick. I'm trying to get Carl on this thing. 1 second.
I don't really have recruiting takes, Dan.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm a little gun shy after my take from last week, which seemed to explode in my face. And I'm now backtracking on.
No, for sure. I don't know if he will get an offer. Obviously, an odd situation. I had forgotten that he had transferred to West Virginia. Was off of the team halfway through the season. So again, don't know if he's going to get an offer. Obviously, if it's Jackson State, Tennessee State, Texas Tech, is he a guy that Florida is going to go after? I don't know. Obviously, they're letting him take a visit, so there's at least some interest. Florida obviously is in desperate need of help at the defensive tackle position. So again, I don't know if he's a guy that Florida will take or will not take. But again, just an interesting name and a name to watch out for because that news came out today.
It'll be interesting. Like you said, no offer yet. But you missed on Daryl Jackson. You missed on Jermaine Lowell.
Yeah,
I think is that name.
This was a big, huge need.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need an all SEC player. You need some bodies down there, I think, right now. And Middleton, large human at 6'7", 300. Only 1 year of eligibility left. Taking it unofficial. I think he is. You said Thursday, right, Dan?
Yeah.
We got what name is that? I'm sorry.
Daryl Middleton.
Oh, that one's new to me. I didn't know about that one.
Well, he'll be a redshirt senior. He had, like Dan said, he was at East Mississippi Community College, then Tennessee and West Virginia. But I need to figure out what was the story. We don't know what the story was. Why transferred to West Virginia and then wasn't on the team at some point.
I think he transferred because he wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A lot of stops. A lot of stops. Community college, Tennessee, West Virginia, kind of been all over the place. But might get an opportunity at Florida just because they need bodies.
We need to check in with Big Desmond Waite this summer too, man. See what his shape looking like. A little motivation. We're gonna need him this fall.
Reading up on him, Nick. In 2020, played 9 games, started 6, 15 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack. Transferred to West Virginia, played just 3 games before leaving and re-entering the transfer portal. Obviously, a guy that may have been benefited by just waiting a while to take visits where, a school may have missed out on their number 1, number 2, number 3 targets and be able to grab a guy like him. Obviously has been around for a while, is got to be 23 years old now. If Florida needs a body, I don't know what they're going to do. They don't have a lot of depth or experience there. I think that you have some good potential production there, but I don't think that you have a lot of proven depth beyond just, I guess Desmond, Gervon, and some other, hopeful defensive tackles that'll step up. But Florida's definitely lacking.
What's his name? Jalen Lee.
Yeah. Jalen Lee.
Yeah, he's looking all right. He's coming on.
He's coming on again, but not proven. Hasn't done a ton.
For sure. Just some potential there.
Let's see who else Florida has. Defensive tackle. Sorry, that's an area where I'm forgetting some names. I'm sure. Chris McClellan's a defensive end, right? Big Gerv's your defensive tackle. Jalen Humphrey's a guy that we haven't heard much about in his, few years that he's been at Florida. Outside of that, you don't really have much. Unless a guy, Jalen Lee, obviously you mentioned Chris Thomas, redshirt freshman. But again, not a lot of depth there. Those are names that you don't want to hear as being your number 3 and number 4 guy, probably. Or even your number 2 guy. I don't know.
Right.
What's going on with Carl? We got Carl coming on.
I don't know, man. Carl's having some technical difficulties or something. I don't know what he got going on, but it is also Memorial Day, man.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. We can get him on in the future. Next week, we've got Scott Strickland. Super excited about that. That will be our
Dwayne.
That will be our 3-year anniversary of Stadium and Gale. So we appreciate everybody for listening in over the last 3 years. Super excited to have him. We also have another guest that we're going to wait until next week to announce because he's got some big news about one of your favorite restaurants in Gainesville. So he'll be joining us to break some news for the pod next week. Got a big third week. Maybe we can do callers. Maybe we can do something. There's a lot of people that are going to be looking out their windows wondering where the owl that's following them right now.
It's a Lil Wayne owl, man. Same corner, same time. They know the vibes.
They do. Silk, why don't you get us a Manscaped ad read? Nick, I think you have song of the week, and then we'll get out of here.
I shouldn't have to do this ad read, man. Y'all should have the ball deodorant on deck. I should just be doing Lawnmower 4.0. That's it. Because we're in the middle of summer at this point. Not middle, but
at the beginning, but it feels like the middle.
Yeah, the sun showed up for his job. The sun is doing what it's supposed to do, man. Be sure to visit manscaped.com. Use coupon code SG20 for 20% off and free shipping. Get that Lawnmower 4.0. Get all shaved up and trimmed up, man. Don't go out to the beach, letting the bush hang out the bottom of those man hoochie pants, man. You got some hoochie shorts then? You wearing the man hoochie shorts? Above knee is what the streets, the kids are calling them.
Yeah. Get the nice 7-inch length shorts.
Gotta shave. You gotta get the man. I'm glad you said shorts. Clear.
The Manscaped read goes south, sideways, south.
Coupon code.
That'd be nice. That's a dream. So a dream, baby.
SG20 for 20% off, man. Lawnmower 4.0. Weed whacker. All hair needs to go, man. You cannot be Harry Larry in 2022, man. You gotta be, groom yourself. Take care of yourself, man. And take care of those family jewels with some ball deodorant and the Lawnmower 4.0. If not, man, you stick it to your leg, man. Huh?
Harry Larry.
Harry Larry. Can't be a Harry Larry. Nick, what do we got for song of the week? It's your pick, right? So I think you had it last week, right?
I have no idea. I'm on 32 podcasts.
Ooh.
You've already handed it to me. You can't take that back now.
What you got?
No, somebody had an album drop and you picked.
I'll get it next week. You got some heat?
I don't know if it's heat, but I don't know how it came up on like my Instagram reels, and then I clicked on it one time, and now it's like I can't escape this song.
It's in your algorithms.
It's heavy in the algorithm. It is a sea shanty. The song is called "Wellerman" by Nathan Evans.
Definitely gonna be the first time I heard this.
It's definitely the first time I'll hear this too.
It's you're gonna be like, what the heck is going on? What did Nick pick? And then at some point, you're gonna just start bobbing to it. Way out there, out in left field. Wellerman, Nathan Evans.
Nathan Evans, Wellerman.
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 Wellerman. Wellerman.
I wonder what's a Wellerman. What's a Wellerman, Nick?
You gotta listen to the song. I told you it's a sea shanty, so you can start putting some context clues together.
TikTok sea shanty. Is this like a dance on TikTok you saw?
I don't have TikTok. It was on Instagram Reels, which I think is like the same thing.
Oh wow, there's apparently a New Zealand sea ballad from the 1860s about the Wellerman. Sometimes you just learn things that you just never thought. You end the show, and I'm like, I'm done learning today. And
no, never.
It does Wellerman. All right, well, I'm looking forward to learning a little bit about some New Zealand sea shanties. Maybe learn a TikTok dance that you can
I'm
show
excited
us on
to kick
YouTube.
it with Scott next week, man. I'm trying to kick it with Scott.
That's Big J journalist Corey Knowles with the Florida Athletic Director.
Know what I'm saying?
Got it again. Boys, we'll see you same corner, same time next week.
Already.
I'll do better next week. Let's rock out, boys.